My son and his wife were hosting my 67th birthday. That should tell you everything you need to know about how far I'd fallen. 67 years old, and someone else is throwing me a party like I'm a child who can't manage my own celebrations. But I smiled. I nodded. I pretended it was normal. The house was one of those new developments on the edge of town. Everything looked the same. Beige siding, black shutters, manicured lawns that probably violated some homeowner association and bylaw if the grass grew half an inch too tall. My son David had bought it 3 years ago. His wife Jennifer picked it out. I knew because she told me, repeatedly, about the granite countertops and the walk-in closets and the bonus room and the goddamn rainfall showerhead. I stood in their living room holding a beer I didn't want while people I barely knew wished me happy birthday. David's coworkers, Jennifer's book club friends, some neighbors. My wife Helen stood beside me, her hand occasionally touching my elbow in that way she did when she wanted to communicate something without words. I'd been married to her for 41 years. I knew her touches better than I knew my own thoughts. The house smelled like catered food, not home cooking, catered. Jennifer had hired someone. There were little phyllo cups with something creamy inside, and skewers with chicken and pineapple, and those tiny quiches that taste like cardboard no matter how expensive they are. Everything was arranged on slate boards and wooden platters that probably cost more than my first car. "Dad, speech," David called out. He was standing by the fireplace with his arm around Jennifer. She was smiling, but her eyes were doing that thing where they weren't really smiling at all, just her mouth. Her eyes were calculating something. "No speech," I said. "Just thank you for having everyone over. Come on, Dad, it's your birthday. Say something." The room went quiet. 20-some people all looking at me. Helen's hand squeezed my elbow harder. "All right," I said. "I'm 67. I used to haul freight for Morrison Logistics. 33 years. Retired now. I've got a good wife, a son who's doing well for himself, and a roof over my head. That's more than a lot of people can say. So thank you." Polite applause, a few awkward laughs. Jennifer's smile got tighter. "That's it?" David said. He was laughing, but it wasn't a real laugh. "Dad, come on. Tell a story or something." "Your father doesn't need to perform," Helen said quietly, but loud enough that the people nearby heard. Jennifer's expression changed. Just for a second. Something cold moved across her face. Then it was gone, and she was back to hostess mode, guiding people toward the food table, refreshing drinks, laughing at jokes. I finished my beer, got another one from the kitchen even though Helen gave me a look. The kitchen was massive. White cabinets, stainless steel, everything, an island the size of my first apartment. Jennifer was in there arranging dessert plates. "Thanks for this," I told her. "Of course," she said without looking at me. "Your family." The way she said family made it sound like an obligation, like I was something she'd inherited and couldn't return. I went back to the living room. More small talk, more people asking me about retirement like it was some exotic vacation instead of what it actually was, waking up every day with nothing to do and nowhere to be. One of David's coworkers, some kid who couldn't have been older than 25, asked me what I did to stay busy. "I read," I said, "watch TV, take walks." "That's great," he said in that tone people use when they're not really listening. "Really great." Helen appeared beside me again. "I need to talk to you," she whispered. "Now?" "Yes, now." She took my hand and led me toward the hallway. People watched us go. Jennifer watched us go. Her eyes followed us like a hawk tracking a mouse. "What's wrong?" I asked when we were out of sight. Helen pulled me into the downstairs bathroom and locked the door. The bathroom was enormous. Double sinks, a separate shower and tub, one of those heated towel racks. Everything smelled like lavender and money. "We need to leave," Helen said. "What? Why?" "Take the keys. Act like nothing's wrong." "Helen, what's going on?" "Not here. Just trust me. We need to leave right now." She handed me my keys from her purse. I hadn't even realized she'd taken them. My hands felt cold suddenly despite the warmth of the house. "Act natural," she said. "We're going to say goodbye. Thank them for the party and leave. Don't argue with me. Don't ask questions. Just do exactly what I say." We went back to the living room. Helen's face had transformed into that pleasant mask she wore at church functions and PTA meetings. All smiles and warmth, but her hand was still gripping mine hard enough to hurt. "David, Jennifer," Helen called out. "This has been wonderful, but your father's tired. We're going to head out." "Already?" David said. "We haven't even done cake yet." "I know, honey. I'm sorry. But you know how he gets." She said it like I wasn't standing right there, like I was some old dog who needed to be put to bed early. "Just stay for cake," Jennifer said. She'd appeared from the kitchen holding a massive sheet cake with Happy Birthday Dad written in blue frosting. It'll take 5 minutes. We really should go, Helen said. I insist. Jennifer's voice had changed. Still pleasant, still hostess appropriate. But there was steel underneath now. 5 minutes, that's all. Helen looked at me. Her eyes were saying something urgent, and I still didn't understand what. Sure, I said. 5 minutes. Helen's grip on my hand tightened painfully. They sang. I blew out candles shaped like the number 67. Everyone clapped. Jennifer cut the cake with surgical precision, each slice exactly the same size. She handed me the first piece on a small plate with a silver fork. Eat up, Dad, she said. I took a bite. Chocolate. Too sweet. The frosting stuck to the roof of my mouth. I need to use the restroom, Helen said suddenly. Be right back. She left before anyone could respond. I stood there with my cake plate feeling increasingly uncomfortable. People were talking around me, but the conversations felt distant now, like I was underwater. David came over, put his hand on my shoulder. Hey, Dad, can I talk to you for a second? Sure. He led me toward the stairs. Let's go to my office. Quieter up there. Something in my gut twisted. I looked around for Helen, but she hadn't come back from the bathroom yet. Is everything okay? I asked. Yeah, just want to show you something. Work stuff. You'll find it interesting. David's office was at the end of the upstairs hallway. Carpet so thick it swallowed footsteps. More beige walls, framed degrees and certifications, a desk made of dark wood that probably cost more than I made in a month at my peak earning years. He closed the door behind us. Sit down, Dad. I'd rather stand. Sit down. The change in his tone made me sit. He walked around the desk and opened a drawer, pulled out a folder, set it in front of me. Open it, he said. Inside were documents, legal documents, pages and pages of them with highlighted sections and sticky note tabs. I recognized some of them, power of attorney forms, medical directives. The paperwork Helen and I had signed years ago when David convinced us we needed to get our affairs in order after I had that scare with my heart. What is this? I asked. Protection, David said. For you, for Mom. You're getting older. You need someone to manage things. Manage what things? He flipped through the pages, pointed to sections. Your accounts, the house, everything's been transferred into a trust for your protection. My mouth went dry. What do you mean transferred? It's all legal. You signed the documents. It's just making sure everything's taken care of if something happens to you. I didn't sign anything about transferring the house. Yes, you did. It's right here. Page 17. Your signature, Mom's signature, all notarized. He showed me, and there it was. My signature. Helen's signature. I remembered signing it. We'd been in some lawyer's office downtown. David had arranged it, said it was standard estate planning. The lawyer had walked us through everything, but it was a lot of papers and a lot of legal language, and I'd just trusted my son. That was for protection, I said. In case something happened, it wasn't supposed to transfer anything now. The trust activates under certain conditions. Those conditions have been met. What conditions? David sat down in his chair, leaned back, folded his hands. The conditions are that you're no longer capable of managing your own affairs, that you need assistance, that it's in your best interest for someone else to handle things. I'm perfectly capable. Are you? You're 67 years old. You have no income except Social Security. You've got health issues, you're isolated, you barely leave the house. That's not true. Dad, when was the last time you worked? Really worked? I'm retired. That's what retirement is. Right. And who's been paying your bills? Who's been making sure the property taxes get paid? Who fixed the roof last year when it started leaking? I did. I paid for that. With money, I transferred into your account. The room tilted. What? I've been subsidizing you for 3 years. You didn't notice. The mortgage that kept getting paid even though you barely have $2,000 a month coming in, the utilities, the insurance, I've been covering the difference. That's not true. He opened another drawer. More documents, bank statements, my accounts. Except the numbers didn't match what I remembered. They were smaller, much smaller. This is wrong, I said. It's accurate, down to the penny. You're broke, Dad. Or you would be if I hadn't been helping. Why are you showing me this? Because things need to change. The house is draining money. It's too big for 2 people. And Jennifer and I need more space. We're planning on starting a family. This house isn't big enough. Understanding hit me like a fist. You want my house? I want what's best for everyone. There's a nice senior community on the other side of town. 1-bedroom apartments, all utilities included, very affordable. You and Mom would be much more comfortable there. That's a retirement home. It's independent living. It's where people go to die. Dad, don't be dramatic. I stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. I'm leaving. Sit down. No. I went to the door, tried the handle, it was locked. David, unlock this door. Just sit down and let's talk about this reasonably. Unlock the goddamn door. You're getting upset. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This emotional instability. It's not healthy. I pulled harder on the handle. It didn't budge. The door was solid. New construction. Not like the hollow doors in my house that you could practically punch through. David, I swear to God. What? You'll what? I turned around. He was still sitting there, calm, in control, looking at me like I was a problem he was solving. You can't keep me in here, I said. I'm not keeping you anywhere. I'm trying to have a conversation with my father about his future, about our family's future, and you're acting erratic. Open the door. When you calm down. I thought about breaking the door, kicking it, ramming it with my shoulder, but I was 67 years old with a bad heart and a knee that gave out sometimes and a son who just told me I was too old and weak to manage my own life, and he was probably right. That's when I heard Helen's voice downstairs, sharp, angry. Where is he? He's fine, Jennifer's voice answered. He's upstairs with David. I want to see him. They're having a private conversation. I don't care. That's my husband. Footsteps on the stairs. Fast. Then Helen's voice right outside the door. Open this door. Right now. David sighed. Got up. Unlocked the door. Helen pushed through. She looked at me, then at David, then at the documents spread across the desk. Her face went white. You did it, she said. You actually did it. Did what? I asked. She grabbed the documents, started flipping through them. Her hands were shaking. Helen, what's going on? What's going on, she said, her voice breaking, is that we no longer own our house, or our car, or anything else. It's gone, all of it. He took it. That's not fair, David said. I didn't take anything. It's all still in the family. It's just being managed properly now. By you. Yes, by me. Because someone has to. Helen's face transformed from shock to rage in about 2 seconds. She threw the documents at David. They scattered across the desk and floor. You manipulated us, she said. You lied to us. We trusted you and you stole from us. I did not steal anything. Everything was legal. Everything was signed. You told us it was for our protection. It is for your protection. You have no idea how to manage money. You're living beyond your means. Dad hasn't worked in years, and you're still spending like he's bringing home a paycheck. We live in a 2-bedroom house. We drive a 15-year-old car. What spending are you talking about? Property taxes, insurance, utilities, medical bills. It adds up, and I've been covering it, without complaint, because that's what family does. You're not covering anything out of generosity. You're doing it so you can claim we're dependent on you, so you can justify stealing our home. It's not stealing if it's legal. Helen looked at me. We're leaving. No, David said. Not yet. Excuse me? We need to finish this conversation. We need to make some decisions about next steps. The next step is we're walking out that door. Mom, you're both too upset right now. Just sit down. Have some water. Let's talk about this rationally. We're done talking. Helen grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the door. David stepped in front of it. Move, Helen said. Just wait, please. Move or I'll scream. I'll scream so loud everyone downstairs will hear, and then I'll tell them exactly what you did. For a second, David looked uncertain. Then his face hardened again. Go ahead. Scream. Tell them. They'll think you're hysterical. They'll see exactly why Dad needs help managing things. You bastard, Helen said quietly. I'm trying to help. Both of you. I know it doesn't feel like that right now, but this is what's best. Let us leave. You can leave after we finish the conversation. There's nothing to finish. You stole from us. We're done. I'd been silent this whole time, processing, trying to understand what was happening. But now I found my voice. Get out of the way, David. He looked at me. Dad, get out of the way. Now. Just listen. I said get out of the way. My voice cracked on the last word. Too loud, too desperate. Downstairs, the party had gone quiet. People had heard. Jennifer appeared in the doorway. What's going on? Nothing, David said quickly. Just a family discussion. It doesn't sound like nothing. Dad's having a hard time understanding some paperwork. It's fine. It's not fine, Helen said. Your husband is trying to steal our house. That's absurd, Jennifer said, but her voice lacked conviction. She knew. Of course she knew. This was probably her idea. We're leaving, I said. Right now. I pushed past David. He tried to grab my arm, but I pulled away, down the stairs. Helen right behind me. The party guests were all staring. Conversations had died. Someone had turned off the music. Dad, wait, David called from the top of the stairs. I didn't wait. I went straight for the front door, grabbed the handle, turned it, locked. I tried again, locked. What the hell? I said. Jennifer had followed us down. The door locks automatically for security. Unlock it. Let's just everyone calm down first. Unlock the goddamn door. Sir, you need to relax, a voice said behind me, male, deep. I turned around, one of the guests, bigger than me, younger, probably one of David's coworkers. Who the hell are you? I asked. Just a concerned friend. You seem upset. Maybe you should sit down. I don't need to sit down. I need to leave. I don't think that's a good idea right now, not in your state. My state? What the hell are you talking about? Helen pulled on my arm. Don't, she whispered. Don't give them ammunition. But I was past caring. I tried the door again, still locked. I pounded on it with my fist. Open this door. Dad, please, David said. He'd come down the stairs. You're making a scene. I'm making a scene? You just told me you stole my house and I'm making a scene. The room was silent. Everyone watching. Jennifer's friends, David's coworkers, all these strangers seeing me lose control, seeing me prove David right. Helen stepped forward. When she spoke, her voice was calm, measured. Jennifer, she said, unlock this door right now or I will call 911 and report that you're holding us against our will. That's unlawful imprisonment. That's a felony. You have 5 seconds. Jennifer's face went pale. She looked at David. He shook his head slightly. 1, Helen said. Mom, you're overreacting, David said. 2, let's just talk about this. 3. Jennifer pulled out her phone, pressed something on the screen. The door clicked. Thank you, Helen said. She opened the door and we walked out, into the cold February night. The door slammed behind us. I heard the lock click again immediately. We stood on the driveway. My car was parked on the street. Helen still had the keys. She handed them to me, but my hands were shaking too badly to hold them. She took them back. I'll drive, she said. We got in the car. Helen started the engine, pulled away from the curb. I looked back once, saw David and Jennifer watching from the front window. The lights from inside made them look like portraits. Perfect, untouchable. Helen drove in silence for several minutes. We passed the nice neighborhoods, the shopping centers, the parks, heading toward our part of town where the houses were smaller and older, and the lawns weren't quite so perfect. When did you know? I finally asked. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks? I got a letter from the county about property taxes. It was addressed to David, care of our address. I opened it thinking it was a mistake. And I saw that the house was listed under his name, not ours. I called the county office. They said the transfer happened 18 months ago, perfectly legal. All the documents filed correctly. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to be sure. I called the lawyer who handled the paperwork. He said everything was legitimate. We signed the documents. We gave David power of attorney. We authorized the trust. It's all legal. But we didn't know what we were signing. Doesn't matter. We signed it. We can't prove we were coerced or misled. And David's been paying our bills. He's got proof that we're financially dependent on him. Any judge would look at that and say he was acting in our best interest. So we've lost everything. Everything that was in our names. The house, the car, our bank accounts. All of it. What about our retirement? Social Security? That's ours. They can't touch that. But it's barely $1,500 a month. Each. $3,000 total. Try finding a place to live on that. I stared out the window. We were getting close to our street now. Our old street. The street we'd lived on for 30 years. Raised David there. Watched him grow up. Sent him to college. Helped him get started. And this was how he repaid us. Helen pulled into the driveway. Our house. Except it wasn't our house anymore. It was David's house. We just lived in it at his pleasure. What do we do? I asked. Helen turned off the engine. Sat there in the darkness of the car. When she finally spoke, her voice was different. Colder. We survive, she said, and then we make him regret it. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. I always do. We sat there for another minute, then got out and went inside. The house felt different now, lighter somehow, like it was already floating away from us. I went to the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed. Helen came in a few minutes later with 2 glasses of water. She handed me one. I drank it even though I wasn't thirsty. I need you to promise me something, she said. What? That you won't do anything stupid. No confronting David, no lawyers, no police, not yet. We need to be smart about this. He stole from us. Legally, that's the problem. He did everything by the book. We can't fight him that way. So what way can we fight him? Helen smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile she used to get when some PTA mom tried to undermine her at meetings. Cold, calculating, dangerous. His way, she said. We fight him his way. I don't understand. You don't have to. Not yet. Just trust me and don't do anything without talking to me first. Can you do that? I don't know. Yes, you do. You've trusted me for 41 years. Trust me now. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was 63 years old with gray hair and lines around her eyes and hands that had worked hard every day of her adult life. But there was something else there now, something I'd never seen before, something sharp and unforgiving. Okay, I said. I trust you. Good, she said. Now get some sleep. We have work to do tomorrow. She turned off the light and left. I lay down on the bed fully clothed, stared at the ceiling, thought about my son, about the folder full of documents, about the locked door, about Jennifer's cold eyes and David's calm voice explaining how he'd stripped us of everything while calling it protection. I thought about that for a long time, and then I thought about Helen's smile, and then I started making plans of my own. I didn't sleep. I lay there watching shadows move across the ceiling as cars passed outside. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw David's face. That calm, reasonable expression while he explained how he'd taken everything from us. For our own good. For our protection. Around 4 a.m., I gave up and went to the kitchen, made coffee, sat at the table in the dark, drinking it. Helen found me there when she came in at 6. You didn't sleep, she said. Neither did you. She poured herself coffee, sat down across from me. The kitchen was cold. We usually kept the heat low to save money. Old habits. Funny how we'd been worried about utility bills while David was planning to take the whole house. I need to show you something, Helen said. She got up and came back with a folder. Not as thick as David's, but substantial. She spread papers across the table, highlighted sections, sticky notes with her handwriting. What is all this? I asked. Research. I've been working on it since I got that letter from the county. I picked up the first document. Bank statements. Our accounts. She was right. The numbers were much lower than I remembered. I'd stopped paying close attention years ago. Helen handled the bills. I trusted her. I trusted David. I was a goddamn fool. Look at the dates, Helen said. The transfer started 18 months ago, right after we signed those documents. Small amounts at first, a few hundred here and there, then bigger chunks. By the time I noticed, most of it was gone. How much total? $48,000. The number hit me like a punch. We had $48,000? We had more than that. We had $62,000. The rest is still there. Barely. About $14,000. He left just enough to keep us from noticing right away. Why not take it all? Because that would have been obvious. This way it looked like regular expenses. Living costs. He was smart about it. I flipped through more papers. Utility bills showing amounts 3 times what we actually used. Insurance payments for coverage we didn't have. Property tax bills with inflated numbers. All paid from our accounts. All going into accounts controlled by David. He was stealing from us for 18 months, I said. Yes. And we didn't notice. I didn't notice. You stopped looking at finances years ago. That was on me. Don't do that. Don't take the blame for him being a thief. Helen pulled out another document. This one was different. A printout from the county assessor's website. Look at the property transfer date, she said. I looked. The house had been transferred into David's name 14 months ago, 2 months after the money transfers started, 4 months after we signed the documents. So he had a plan, I said. Take the money first, then take the house, all nice and legal. And if we'd noticed and complained, he could have said he was just managing things for us, that we were confused, that we'd authorized everything. Which we did. We authorized him to help us if we became incapacitated, Not to rob us blind while we were still perfectly capable. Can we prove that? Helen's expression darkened. No. The documents are clear. We gave him broad authority, and he's been documenting everything, keeping receipts, showing how much he's been spending to support us. He's built a perfect case that we're dependent on him. I pushed the papers away. So we've got nothing. We have information. That's something. Information doesn't get us our house back. No, but it tells us how he thinks, how he operates. That's useful. I drank more coffee. It had gone cold. You said we'd fight him his way. What does that mean? It means we can't fight him legally. The law's on his side, but there are other ways to make someone regret their choices. Like what? I don't know yet, but I'm working on it. The sun was coming up now, gray light filtering through the kitchen window. Another day starting. Except everything had changed. The house wasn't ours. The car wasn't ours. Even the coffee I was drinking had probably been bought with money David had transferred into our account. I want to. I know, so do I. But we're not going to. We're going to be smarter than that. I don't feel very smart right now. Helen reached across the table, took my hand. Her skin was cold. Listen to me, she said. We're going to survive this. We're going to figure out how to live on what we have, and we're going to make David understand what he's done, but we can't do any of that if you're in prison for murder. He deserves it. Maybe. But you don't deserve to spend the rest of your life in a cell, and I don't deserve to lose my husband on top of everything else. I knew she was right. I hated that she was right, but I knew it. So what's the plan? I asked. First, we secure what we have left, the retirement income, our personal belongings, anything that's actually ours. Like what? He took everything. Not everything. Our clothes, family photos, your tools in the garage, my grandmother's jewelry, things that aren't in the trust documents. We need to get those somewhere safe. Where? I don't know yet, but not here. If he can take the house, he can take what's in it. This is insane. Yes, it is, but it's where we are. We spent the rest of the morning going through the house, not packing exactly, just identifying what was actually ours versus what had been absorbed into David's theft. It was harder than I expected. After living somewhere for 30 years, you forget what you bought and when. Was that lamp ours, or did we inherit it? Did we buy that bookshelf, or did David give it to us? Every question led to more questions. Around noon, my phone rang. David's name on the screen. I stared at it. Answer it, Helen said. Act normal. I don't know if I can. Try, I answered. Yeah. Dad. Hey, listen, about last night. I don't want to talk about it. I know you're upset, but I really think we should discuss this rationally. Come over, just you and me. We'll talk it through. No. Dad. I said no. I'm done talking. You're being unreasonable. I'm being unreasonable? You stole my house? I did not steal anything. I protected you. There's a difference. Go to hell, David. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Helen took the phone from me. That was good, she said. But next time, don't hang up. Let him think we're willing to talk. Why? Because we need information. We need to know what he's planning next, and he'll tell us if he thinks we're cooperating. I can't cooperate with him. You don't have to cooperate. Just pretend. The phone rang again. David. Helen answered before I could stop her. Hi, David, she said. Her voice was calm, pleasant, like nothing had happened. Yes, I know he's upset. We all are. It was a difficult evening. No, we understand. You were trying to help. We just need some time to process. Of course. We can talk. Maybe later this week? Thursday? Yes, that should work. We'll come over. Okay, thank you for understanding. Bye. She hung up, looked at me. What the hell was that? I asked. That was buying us time and information. He thinks we're calming down, that we're open to discussing things. That makes him confident. Confident people make mistakes. I don't want to see him Thursday. We're not going to see him Thursday. By Thursday, we'll be gone. Gone where? Away. Somewhere he can't find us until we're ready to be found. Helen, what are you planning? She smiled that cold smile again. Survival first, revenge second. But both are coming. The rest of that day we worked in silence, going through closets, boxing up what we could claim as personal property. It wasn't much. Clothes, a few pieces of jewelry, some photographs, my toolbox from the garage, Helen's sewing machine, things with sentimental value but no real worth. Around 5 p.m., someone knocked on the door. Helen looked through the peephole. "Jennifer," she whispered, "don't answer it." "We have to. She knows we're home." Helen opened the door. Jennifer stood there holding a casserole dish covered in foil. She was smiling, but it looked painful. "Hi," Jennifer said. "I thought you might like some dinner, after everything." "That's thoughtful," Helen said. Her voice gave nothing away. "Can I come in?" "Actually, this isn't a great time." "Oh, well, I'll just leave this then." She held out the casserole. Helen took it. "Thank you." Jennifer didn't leave. She stood there looking past Helen into the house, trying to see what we were doing, if we were packing, if we were planning something. "David feels terrible about last night," she said. "I'm sure he does. He really is trying to help. He's worried about you both. You're getting older, and these things need to be managed properly. We understand. Do you? Because last night it seemed like you thought he was trying to hurt you. That's not what this is about." "What is it about, Jennifer?" Jennifer's expression hardened. "It's about family, about making sure everyone's taken care of. David's been supporting you for years. You have to know that can't continue indefinitely. Supporting us with our own money. Money that you couldn't properly manage. That's the point. David's been protecting you from yourselves." Helen's grip on the casserole dish tightened. I could see her knuckles going white, but her voice stayed calm. "Thank you for the dinner. We'll be sure to return the dish." "Helen." "Goodbye, Jennifer." Helen closed the door, stood there for a moment with her back against it. Then she walked to the kitchen and dumped the entire casserole into the trash, dish and all. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I don't trust her. She probably poisoned it." "You really think?" "I don't know what to think anymore, but I'm not taking chances." That night we ate scrambled eggs and toast. Barely spoke, just planned. Helen wrote lists on a yellow legal pad. Things we needed to do, places we could go, people we could trust. "What about Carl?" I said. Helen looked up. "Carl Brooks?" "Yeah, he's still around. Still has that shop." Carl Brooks was someone I'd worked with years ago, back when I was at Morrison Logistics. He'd run a small freight company, independent operator. We'd stayed friendly even after I retired. Not close exactly, but he'd helped me out a few times. Borrowed me his truck once when my car died. I'd fixed his loading dock gate when it broke. "You think he'd help us?" Helen asked. "Maybe. Worth asking. What would we even ask him for?" "Storage. He's got those units behind his warehouse. Lets us keep our stuff there temporarily until we figure out what to do." Helen considered this, wrote something down. "Okay, tomorrow you call him. Feel him out. Don't tell him everything, just say we're decluttering, need somewhere to store things for a few months. And if he says no, then we find another option, but we need to move fast. I don't trust that Jennifer won't come back, or send David, or call the police and claim we're trespassing in our own house. She wouldn't. She would. She already has." "What do you mean?" Helen pulled out another document from her folder. "While you were in the garage, I checked our credit cards. David's been using them. Not a lot. Just enough to establish a pattern. A few times a month. Charges for things we'd normally buy, gas, groceries. He's creating evidence that he's been taking care of us, supporting us. If we try to fight him legally, this all supports his case." I felt sick. He's thought of everything. "Not everything. He made one mistake." "What's that?" "He underestimated me." The way she said it made me believe her. Helen had always been the smart one, the planner, the one who kept things running while I just went to work and came home. I'd always known that, but I'd never seen this side of her, this cold, calculating side that could look at our son's betrayal and immediately start planning counter moves. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "Whatever it takes," she said. That night I did sleep. Not well, but some. I dreamed about the birthday party, the locked door, David's calm face explaining how he'd dismantled our lives. In the dream, I kept trying to leave, but every door I opened just led to another room with more locked doors. And David was always there, always explaining, always so goddamn reasonable. I woke up at 3 a.m., covered in sweat. Helen was sitting in the chair by the window, just sitting there in the dark, watching. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Keeping watch." "For what?" "For whatever comes next." 3 days later, Jennifer's lawyer called. The divorce papers had been filed. David had been served. And there was a problem. "What kind of problem?" Helen asked. "Mr. Evans is contesting everything. He's hired a very aggressive attorney. They're claiming you coerced Mrs. Evans, that you manipulated her with false information, They're threatening to file harassment charges against you. That's ridiculous. Maybe, but it's going to make things complicated. I wanted you to be aware. Helen hung up looking shaken. He's fighting back. We knew he would. No, you don't understand. He's not just defending himself. He's going on offense. He's trying to make us the villains. Let him try. He has lawyers now. Good lawyers, apparently. We have nothing. We have the truth. Truth doesn't matter if you can't afford to prove it. She was right. We'd been so focused on destroying David that we hadn't considered what he might do in response. He still had resources. A job, credit, access to legal help. We had $14,000 in a bank account and a storage unit full of old clothes. What do we do? I asked. I don't know. For the first time since this started, Helen looked defeated. Her confidence was gone. The cold, calculating rage that had driven her for weeks had burned out. Now she just looked tired and old and scared. We can't stop now, I said. Why not? We've accomplished what we wanted. His marriage is over. His reputation is damaged. We've hurt him. But we haven't won. He still has the house. He still has our money. He's still standing. Maybe that's enough. Maybe we should just walk away. And go where? Do what? We have nowhere to go. Helen started crying. Not loud sobbing. Just quiet tears running down her face. In 41 years of marriage, I'd seen her cry maybe a dozen times. She was the strong one, the unshakable one. But now she was breaking. I sat next to her, put my arm around her. She leaned into me. I'm so tired, she said. I know. I wanted to make him pay. I wanted him to understand what he did. But now I just want it to be over. It will be, one way or another. But will we survive it? I didn't answer because I didn't know. That night we stayed in, ordered pizza, watched television without really watching it, both of us lost in our own thoughts. The plan had been working perfectly until David got his lawyers involved. Now everything was uncertain again. Around 11 p.m., someone knocked on the motel room door. Hard, insistent. Helen and I looked at each other. Police? She whispered. Maybe. I looked through the peephole. Not police. David. Don't open it, Helen said. But I did. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired of running. Maybe I wanted this confrontation. Maybe I was just stupid. David pushed past me into the room. He looked terrible, unshaven, wrinkled clothes. Get out, Helen said. No, we're going to talk. Right now. We have nothing to say to you. The hell we don't. You destroyed my marriage. You turned Jennifer against me. You've been spreading lies about me all over town, and now you're helping her lawyer try to get me charged with fraud. You committed fraud. I was helping you. By stealing our house? I was protecting it. You're old, you're vulnerable. What happens if one of you needs long-term care? The state would have taken the house to pay for it. I was shielding it, keeping it in the family. Bullshit. It's true. Ask any estate planner. Transferring assets is standard practice for elderly parents. We're not elderly, we're in our 60s. And getting older, and sicker, and more expensive. Someone had to plan ahead. Someone had to make hard decisions. That was me. I was trying to help. Then why did you take the money? I asked. David turned to me. What money? $48,000. Transferred from our accounts into accounts you control. Those were management fees, operating expenses. I had to pay for things, the house maintenance, insurance, property taxes. Those bills were inflated. We saw the real numbers. You were stealing. I was not stealing. I was consolidating, making things more efficient, by lying to us. I didn't lie. I simplified. There's a difference. Helen stood up. Get out, now, before I call the police. Call them, please. I'd love to explain to the police how you've been harassing me and my wife, how you manipulated her into filing for divorce, how you've been stalking me. We haven't stalked anyone. Really? Because I have witnesses who say you've been calling people, asking questions about me, spreading rumors. That's harassment. That's actionable. You're insane. No, I'm angry. I'm hurt. You're my parents and you're destroying my life over a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding. It's theft. Fine. You want to call it theft? Let's call it that. Let's go to court. Let's have a judge decide. But understand something. If we do that, you lose. You have no money for lawyers. You have no home. You have nothing. I will win because I have resources and you don't. So you can keep fighting. Or you can accept reality and move on. What reality? I asked. The reality that you signed those documents, willingly, legally. The reality that I've been supporting you for years. The reality that without me you'd be homeless already. I'm not the bad guy here. I'm the son who took care of his aging parents, the one who made hard choices to protect them, and this is the thanks I get." He actually believed it. I could see it in his eyes. He'd convinced himself that he was the victim, that we were being unreasonable, that he'd done nothing wrong. "Get out," Helen said quietly. "Now." "Or what?" "Or I'll make you leave." David laughed. "You? You're going to make me leave? You're a 63-year-old woman. What are you going to do?" Helen walked past him to the door, opened it, stepped outside, came back 30 seconds later with the motel manager. Big guy. Looked like he'd been a bouncer or security guard in a previous life. "This man is trespassing," Helen said. "I want him removed." The manager looked at David. "Sir, you need to leave. This is a private family matter. Don't care. The lady wants you gone, so go." David looked at me. "Dad, tell them this is a misunderstanding." I said nothing. "Dad." "You heard Helen. Get out." For a second, David's face showed something raw and hurt, like the little boy he'd been before he became whatever he was now. But it disappeared fast. His expression hardened. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes, it is." The manager escorted David out. We heard his car start, drive away, then silence. Helen closed the door, locked it, put the chain on, sat down on the bed and started shaking. "It's okay," I said. "He's gone. He found us. He knew where we were. He probably followed us from the coffee shop. Or he's been watching us, tracking us, waiting for the right moment. He's gone now. But he'll come back, or he'll send someone else, or he'll figure out another way to hurt us." She was probably right. This wasn't over. David had resources and motivation and a grudge. He'd keep coming at us until one of us gave up or gave in. "What do we do?" Helen asked. "We finish it." "How?" I thought about this. Really thought about it. We couldn't win legally. We couldn't win financially. We couldn't even win the moral argument because David had convinced himself he was right. So what did that leave? "Carl," I said. "What about him?" "He offered to help, however we needed. Maybe it's time to take him up on that." "What kind of help?" "I don't know yet, but Carl's not bound by the same rules as us. He doesn't care about lawyers or documents or legal niceties. He's practical, straightforward, and he understands leverage." "What leverage do we have?" "I don't know, but Carl might. He's been around. He's seen things. He might have ideas we haven't thought of." Helen considered this. "You trust him?" "More than I trust anyone else right now." "Okay, call him tomorrow." That night I dreamed about David as a child, 6 years old, playing in the backyard, laughing, happy, innocent. In the dream, I was teaching him to ride a bike. He kept falling, kept getting back up, kept trying, and I was there encouraging him, believing in him, proud of him. I woke up crying. Helen was already awake, sitting in the chair by the window again, keeping watch. "You okay?" she asked. "No, me neither." The sun came up. Another day. Another 24 hours of surviving, of planning, of waiting. I called Carl at 8 a.m. He answered on the first ring. "Joe, what's wrong?" "How do you know something's wrong?" "Because you don't call this early unless it is." "What happened?" I told him everything. The birthday party, the theft, the documents, the divorce, Jennifer's lawyer, David showing up at the motel. All of it. Carl listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "That's rough," he finally said. "Your own kid?" "Yeah." "What do you need?" "I don't know. Ideas. Help. Something to give us leverage. Leverage against your son." "Yes." "You know what that sounds like." "What?" "Sounds like you're asking me to help you hurt him." "I guess I am." Another long silence. Then, "Meet me at the warehouse. 2 hours. Come alone. Don't tell Helen. Don't tell anyone." "Why alone?" "Because what I'm going to show you isn't something your wife should see. Not yet." He hung up. I stared at the phone. "What did he say?" Helen asked. "He wants to meet. Says he has ideas." "Good. We need ideas." "He said to come alone." Helen frowned. "Why?" "He didn't say." "I don't like it." "Neither do I. But we don't have a lot of options." I left an hour later, drove to Carl's warehouse, found him in his office. He had coffee waiting, strong and black. "Sit down," he said. I sat. He pulled out a folder, much thinner than the ones Helen and Jennifer's lawyer had been using. Just a few pages. I did some checking, Carl said. Called in some favors. Made some inquiries. Your son's got problems beyond what you know about. What kind of problems? Money problems, real ones. He's mortgaged to the teeth. Credit cards maxed out. Behind on payments. The pretty house and nice car and perfect life. It's all smoke. He's about 3 months from bankruptcy. How do you know this? I know people who know things. That's all you need to know. Point is, your son is desperate. Has been for a while. That's probably why he went after your assets. He needed money, and you were an easy target. That doesn't help us. Actually, it does. Because desperate people make mistakes. And I think your son's about to make a big one. What do you mean? Carl slid a piece of paper across the desk. This is a property listing. Industrial space, other side of town, cheap rent, month-to-month lease. Know who just signed a lease there? I looked at the paper. David's name on the lease agreement. Why would he rent industrial space? I asked. Good question. I wondered the same thing. So I did more checking. Turns out he's been buying equipment, tools, storage supplies, all cash purchases, all in the last 2 weeks. I don't understand. I think your son is planning to move your stuff. Everything from your house. He's going to strip it and store it somewhere you can't get to. Then he's going to sell the house. Take the money and disappear before Jennifer's lawyer can freeze his assets. Understanding hit me. He's running. Looks like it. And he's going to take everything with him when he goes. We have to stop him. We do, and I know how. But you're not going to like it. Tell me. Carl leaned back. Your son's planning to move your stuff. So we let him, we watch, we wait. And when he shows up at that industrial space with a truck full of your belongings, we're there. We confront him. We get everything back. And we make sure he knows what happens if he tries anything like this again. That's not legal. No, it's not. But neither is what he's been doing. Sometimes you have to fight outside the rules. I can't do that. You asked for leverage. This is leverage. Your son in a location he thinks is private, moving stolen property. We document it. We record it. And then we use that documentation to force him to give you back everything. The house, the money, all of it. And if he refuses? Then we go to the police with evidence of ongoing theft, with recordings of him admitting what he did, with proof that he was planning to flee. He goes to prison. You're talking about blackmail. I'm talking about justice. Your way or the legal way. Take your pick. I sat there trying to process this. Carl was offering to help us commit a crime, or at least something that felt like a crime. But he was right that it might be our only option. We couldn't afford lawyers. We couldn't win in court. We couldn't even prove what David had done because technically he'd done everything legally. This was something else. This was taking back what was ours by force. I need to think about it, I said. Don't think too long. According to my sources, he's planning to move everything this weekend. That's 4 days. How do you know all this? I told you. I know people. People who owe me favors. People who see things and report back. Your son's not as smart as he thinks he is. He's leaving traces, and those traces led straight to me. I stood up. I'll talk to Helen. No, don't tell her. Not yet. Why not? Because if this goes wrong, if something happens, it's better if she doesn't know. She can claim ignorance, stay clean. You understand? You think something's going to happen? I think your son is desperate and dangerous. I think he might do something stupid when confronted. And I think you need to be prepared for that possibility. I'm 67 years old with a bad heart. I know. That's why I'm offering to help. I'll be there with you. I'll bring some guys. We'll make sure nothing gets out of hand. What kind of guys? The kind who know how to handle situations like this. Don't ask more than that. I left the warehouse feeling sick. Carl was offering to help us commit a crime, to use force if necessary, to potentially hurt David. And I was actually considering it. But what else could we do? Let David steal everything and run? Let him get away with it? Spend the rest of our lives in a motel room waiting for Social Security checks? No, that wasn't acceptable. I drove back to the motel. Helen was waiting. What did Carl say? She asked. I told her most of it. Left out the part about not telling her. Left out Carl's warning about things going wrong. So we trap him, Helen said when I finished. Essentially. And force him to give everything back. Or turn him in. When? This weekend. Carl thinks that's when David's planning to move everything. Helen nodded slowly. Okay, let's do it. You're sure? No, but I don't see another option. We've tried everything else. This is all we have left. She was right. This was all we had left. One last desperate move to get back what was ours. I'm scared, I said. Me too. We spent the next 3 days preparing. Carl called with updates. David had rented a truck, had hired some day laborers to help with the move, had scheduled everything for Saturday morning. "We'll be there," Carl said. "My guys will set up early, hidden, watching. When David arrives, we'll wait until he starts loading. Then we move in, contain the situation, get what we need." "What if he runs?" "He won't, trust me." Saturday came, cold and gray. Helen and I got in our truck, drove to the industrial address. Carl was already there with 2 other men. Big guys, serious faces. They looked like they'd done this sort of thing before. "You two stay in the truck," Carl said. "Let us handle the confrontation. You just watch. Document everything. Be ready to call the police if needed." "What are you going to do?" "Talk to him, firmly. Make him understand his options." "Don't hurt him." "I won't, unless I have to." We waited. An hour, 2 hours. Then David's rental truck appeared. He parked in front of the unit he'd rented. Got out. Unlocked the roll-up door. Started unloading boxes, our belongings, our life being stolen right in front of us. Carl waited until David had made 3 trips, until he was clearly committed, until there was no way to deny what he was doing. Then Carl and his guys moved in. David didn't see them coming until it was too late. He was carrying a box back to the truck when Carl stepped out from behind a storage unit. The 2 other men appeared from the sides, boxing David in. I could see David's face go pale even from inside our truck. He dropped the box, tried to back up, but there was nowhere to go. Carl said something, too quiet for us to hear from our distance. David shook his head, said something back. His body language was defensive, scared. Good, I thought. Let him be scared for once. One of Carl's guys went into the storage unit, started looking through the boxes David had already moved. The other guy stayed between David and the truck, making sure he couldn't run or drive away. "We should get closer," Helen said. "We need to hear what they're saying." Carl said to stay in the truck. "Screw what Carl said. That's our stuff. I want to hear this." She got out before I could stop her. I followed. We walked toward the group slowly. David saw us coming, and his face transformed from scared to furious. "You," he said. "You did this." "We didn't do anything," Helen said. "You did this. You stole our belongings and tried to hide them here." "These aren't your belongings anymore. They're part of the estate, part of the trust. I have every legal right to move them." "Bullshit," Carl said. "This is theft, plain and simple, and we're taking everything back." "Who the hell are you?" "A friend. Someone who actually gives a damn about these people. Unlike you." David looked at his day laborers. They'd been standing by the truck looking uncomfortable. Now they started backing away. "Hey," David called. "Don't leave. I'm paying you." One of them shook his head. "Man, I don't know what's going on here, but I want no part of it." They left, just walked away. Left David alone with us and Carl's crew. "This is illegal," David said. "You're threatening me, holding me here against my will. I'll call the police." "Go ahead," Carl said. "Call them. Let's explain to the police why you're moving property that doesn't belong to you, why you rented this space under false pretenses, why you've been systematically stealing from your own parents for the last 2 years." "I haven't stolen anything." "Then why are you here? Why all this? Why not just leave their stuff in the house?" David didn't answer, just stood there breathing hard, looking trapped. "I'll tell you why," Helen said quietly. "Because you were planning to sell the house, take the money, and disappear before your divorce could finalize, before Jennifer's lawyer could freeze your assets, before anyone could stop you. You were going to run and take everything with you." "That's not true." "It's completely true. We know everything, David. The mortgages, the debt, the credit cards, the financial pressure. We know you're broke. We know you're desperate. And we know this was your last chance to salvage something before your whole life collapsed." David's expression changed. The fury melted into something else, something broken. "I was trying to survive," he said quietly. "Just like you. I was just trying to survive. By destroying us? By protecting myself. By making hard choices. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Jennifer's spending, the mortgage, the image we had to maintain. Everything costs so much, and I'm barely keeping up, and you two were just sitting there in that house with all that equity, and I thought, you thought you'd steal it? I thought I'd use it, strategically. I'd pay you back. Eventually, when things got better. It was temporary. All of it was temporary." 2 years isn't temporary. I know. It got away from me. The plan was supposed to be simpler, just a small bridge loan from your equity. But then Jennifer wanted the bigger house and the nicer car and the vacations, and I couldn't say no because that would make me look weak and unsuccessful, and so you made us look weak instead. David's face crumpled. He actually started crying. Standing there in an industrial lot surrounded by stolen boxes from our house, sobbing like a child. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I just didn't know what else to do. Helen walked up to him. For a second I thought she might comfort him, hug him, forgive him, but instead she slapped him, hard, across the face. You don't get to cry, she said. You don't get to apologize. You made your choices. You plotted and schemed and stole and lied, and now you face the consequences. David touched his face where she'd hit him, looked at her with something like shock. Mom? Don't call me that. You don't get to call me that anymore. Carl stepped forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign documents transferring the house back to Joe and Helen. You're going to return every dollar you stole, and you're going to do it today, right now. I can't. I don't have the money. It's gone. Then you'll get it. Take out loans, borrow from friends, sell your car, I don't care how. But you'll get it. Because if you don't, we take all this evidence to the police, the recordings, the documents, everything, and you go to prison for fraud and theft. You can't prove anything. Carl pulled out his phone, played a recording, David's voice saying, I transferred the money and I have control of the house and they don't need to know. David went pale. How did you? Your phone. Your conversations, your emails. It's all been monitored. Every word, every transaction, everything. That's illegal. So is theft. So here's the deal. You give them back everything. Today, or we destroy you. Your choice. David looked at me. Dad, please, you can't let them do this. I said nothing, just looked at him, at my son, at the man who'd stolen from us and called it help, at the person who'd locked us in his office and explained how we were too old and too weak to manage our own lives. Dad, you made your choice, I said. Now live with it. David's expression transformed again, from pleading to cold. Fine, you want to play it this way? Let's play. I'll sign your documents. I'll transfer the house back. I'll even write you a check for whatever amount you claim I stole. But understand something. After today, we're done. No more family, no more holidays, no more calls, both of you. We have been since you decided to steal from us. Carl produced documents. Had them ready, the property transfer papers, loan agreements, everything professionally prepared. Either he'd been very confident this would work, or he'd been planning this for longer than he'd let on. David signed everything, didn't read them, just signed. His movements were mechanical, robotic, like he'd shut down emotionally. The money, Carl said. I'll write a check. Cash. Today. I don't have that much cash. Then you'd better find it. You have until 6 p.m. After that, we go to the police. David looked at his watch. It was 2 p.m. That's 4 hours. Better hurry then. David got in his rental truck, drove away, left us standing there with all our belongings spread across the industrial lot. He won't come back with the money, Helen said. He will, Carl said. He's too scared not to. And he knows we have evidence. He knows he'll go to prison if he doesn't cooperate. What if he runs, leaves town? We'll find him. Trust me. We spent the next 4 hours loading our belongings back into our truck, making multiple trips to Carl's storage unit. Everything we thought we'd lost now recovered, our clothes, our photos, our tools, our life. At 5:45 p.m., David returned. He handed Carl an envelope. Carl counted the money inside. $48,000, cash, all hundreds. Where did you get this? Carl asked. Title loan on the car. They gave me 60% of the value immediately. Happy? We'll see. Carl handed the money to Helen. She held it like it might burn her. All this trouble, all this pain, for a stack of bills. We're done, David said. Right? I signed the papers. I gave you the money. We're done. We're done, Carl said. David looked at me one last time. His face was empty. No anger, no sadness, nothing. Goodbye, Dad, he said. Then he got in his truck and drove away. Helen and I stood there watching him disappear. My son, driving out of my life forever. And I felt nothing. Just emptiness where something used to be. You okay? Carl asked. No, I said. But I will be. We finished loading everything, locked up the storage unit. Carl's guys left. Just Carl and Helen and I remained in the cold February afternoon. What happens now? I asked. Now you go home, Carl said. Your real home. The one that's actually yours again. And you start over. Just like that? Just like that. Look, I know this whole thing was ugly. I know it cost you something. But you got back what was yours. That's what matters. Is it? Carl put his hand on my shoulder. Yeah, it is. Family's supposed to be sacred. Supposed to be safe. When that gets violated, you have to make it right. Even if it hurts, you did the right thing. We drove back to our house. The house that was actually ours again. The papers Carl had David sign were already filed. Already legal. The house was in our names. Inside everything looked the same, but felt different. Like we were visiting a museum of our own lives. All these familiar objects that suddenly seemed strange and distant. Helen went to the bedroom. I heard her crying. I wanted to go to her, but I couldn't move. I just stood in the living room looking at everything we'd fought to keep. Was it worth it? I couldn't answer that. We had our house back. We had our money back. But we'd lost our son. We'd destroyed his marriage. We'd become people who could threaten and blackmail and steal back what was stolen from us. Were we better than David now? Or had we just proven we were exactly the same? I didn't know. That night, Helen and I lay in our own bed for the first time in weeks. The mattress felt wrong. Too soft after the motel beds. The room felt too big, too empty. Are you okay? Helen asked in the darkness. I don't know. Are you? I don't know either. We lay there in silence. Two people who'd been married for 41 years, suddenly feeling like strangers. Did we do the right thing? She asked. We got our home back. That's not what I asked. I know. More silence. Then, I think I broke us. What do you mean? This whole thing, this plan, this revenge. I think it broke something in us. Something we can't get back. Maybe. I wanted to hurt him so badly. I wanted him to feel what we felt. And now he does. And I don't feel better. I just feel empty. Yeah. So what do we do now? We survive, like we always planned. Is that enough? It has to be. Helen rolled over, away from me. I listened to her breathing. Slow and steady. She was asleep, or pretending to be. I lay awake thinking about David, about the birthday party, about the locked door, about everything that had happened since. I thought about the moment he'd called me Dad for the last time, the emptiness in his eyes, the finality in his voice. Goodbye, Dad. Not see you later, not we'll talk, not maybe someday. Goodbye. Like I'd never existed at all. And maybe that was fair. Maybe that was justice. Maybe that was what we deserved for destroying him the way he'd destroyed us. But it didn't feel like justice. It felt like losing. It felt like we'd all lost everything and nobody had won. I finally fell asleep around 4 a.m., dreamed about David as a child again, teaching him to ride that bike. Except in this dream he kept falling and I couldn't catch him. He'd fall and fall, and I'd reach for him, but I was too slow, too old, too weak, and he'd look up at me with those empty eyes and say, Goodbye, Dad, over and over. Goodbye, Dad, goodbye.